When I was a kid and I said I couldn't wait to be a grown-up, what I didn't mean is that I wanted to be in charge of what everybody ate 3 times a day for like the next 25 years of my life. And yet here we are. Here we are. And if you're like me, I care about the foods that I'm eating and that my family is eating. I want to eat as healthy and wholesome foods as I can. And you add doing that 3 times a day plus snack, feeding a family can feel like a full-time job. And if you're also like me, you already have a full-time job that is not cooking 3 meals a day plus snacks for your family. I remember very vividly when my first child was born, and I did not know how I was gonna make dinner again. When Miles was like a year old, I followed this girl on probably Instagram or something, and she just had her 3rd baby, and she was like sharing chili that they had. The baby was like a week old. And I was like, how is this woman making chili with 3 children? She's got a 1-week-old. My baby's a year old and I can't figure out how to make dinner. But then I had another baby, and then I had another baby, and turns out you adapt, and I figured it out. And I really found some tips and tricks to just make my time in the kitchen a lot more efficient, so that now I am that person with 3 children making chili like it's no big deal for dinner. It is still a constant thought in my head. I'm still spending a lot of time and energy and resources on feeding my family, but it's something that feels really attainable. It's part of my routine, and it's something that doesn't give me total and complete overwhelm every single night. And so I'm gonna share some of those simple and effective methods that I use to save time in the kitchen, get dinner and meals prepped with less stress, and do it without having to totally sacrifice health for convenience. Okay, number 1, I'm meal prepping and I'm ordering groceries 1 time a week. If this is not your first time watching my channel, you're probably sick of hearing me talk about meal planning, but meal planning is literally it's hurdle number 1 that you need to cross if you are currently struggling to get meals on the table.
I'm gonna link my ultimate meal planning bundle below. It has a ton of printables in here to help you meal plan, but also my best tips and tricks on how to actually stick with meal planning and be successful doing it.
When you sit down and meal plan for the week, you know what you're eating every single day. It's never 9 a.m. and you don't know it's for dinner. It's never noon and you don't know it's for dinner. It's never 4 p.m. and you're like, what's for dinner? You know because you wrote it down last week. This also allows you to buy groceries for the entire week because you know everything that you are eating. This helps you avoid overbuying, because if you've ever gone into a grocery store without a plan or just a general thought of what you want to cook inside your head, you are going to overbuy and come home with a bunch of stuff that you don't need, or buy something that you already had at home, which is just going to overfill your kitchen and make it a lot less effective and make you waste a lot more time when you are in there. It also puts it on your calendar. Typically, I use my weekend to meal plan, so what we're going to be eating for the whole week. By Sunday night, my grocery list is full because I order online, and then I bring home my groceries on Monday. This is actually shifting a little bit. I've started doing a Saturday pickup because I use Sunday to prep food, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. But essentially what it does is it puts it on your calendar. When something is on your calendar, it needs to get done. It becomes a recurring task that you do, so it doesn't become forgotten. And then from there, I can make a list of things that I need to get done. So I will make sort of like my meal prep list from here. If I'm getting the kids like strawberries and blueberries, then I'm gonna wanna wash and then cut up the strawberries ahead of time. If I'm getting peppers and carrots for the lunchbox, I'm gonna wash and I'm gonna cut these ahead of time. If we're having Caesar salad, I wanna make Caesar salad dressing, and I need to wash and chop the romaine. So I now have all of my meals that I'm eating for the week, and I can create a list of all of the tasks that I need to do to complete those meals. So I have my grocery pickup. I've ordered all of the groceries for the week. When I bring them home, I do my own little restock. I feel like we've all seen those little restock videos on Instagram. They're always way prettier than mine look in real life, where people are like taking everything out of their fridge and they're like washing things in these cute aesthetic colanders somehow. I don't know where people are buying aesthetic colanders. I don't have an aesthetic colander. But you're doing your own little like practical real restock. You're pulling some stuff out of the fridge. You're taking a look at like what's behind the mayonnaise that maybe is like back there that shouldn't be back there. You're not just shoving it all back into the fridge. This is part of the schedule. So whenever you schedule your grocery pickups, you schedule it so you know you have some time when you get home to restock. As you're restocking, I love decanting things, especially into clear bins, especially in my pantry. And the reason that I think that this works is I actually think it's easier to look at a clear bin and see what's inside of it than it is to look at a bunch of various bags. I always say this, but when you buy something at a store, the bag that it's in is not designed for storing. It is designed for marketing. It is designed to sit on a shelf and make you want to buy it. which is not really the purpose once it's in your house. Once it's in your house, the purpose should be ease of finding, like you should be able to easily locate it, and ease of being able to know how much you have left of something. I don't do this with every single item, but I do it a lot of my most often used items. It just makes it a lot quicker to find and locate it. It takes a few extra minutes when I'm putting my groceries away, but it saves me a lot of time in the long run. Another note when it comes to what I bring home from the grocery store is I really try to minimize extras. Again, this is why I think that meal planning is really helpful, because one of the most common ways to end up with a lot of extras is to not have a plan when you go to the grocery store. You end up kind of buying some extra stuff because you're like, oh, I'll grab this in case we need a dinner. I'll grab this in case we need a quick breakfast. But if you know everything you're eating for the week, there are no just in cases. The less bloat you can have in your pantry and in your fridge, the better it is. Okay, next up, we have a set prep time and we put it on the calendar. So again, just like I know what day is grocery pickup day, I know when meal planning is happening so that I can have my plan for the week. I have started dedicating allotted slots of time as meal prep times. Now for me, I have 3 small children right now. I have a 11-month-old, a 3-year-old, and a 5-year-old. I don't ever really get just like a 1.5 hour block of time where I'm just like concentrating on cooking because somebody always needs me. But I've kind of allotted Sundays as meal prep day. As a family, we tend to spend most of Sunday home. We might run an errand or do something small, but it tends to be a family at home day. So it's a very easy day for me to quickly sort of prep some stuff throughout the ebbs and flows of a natural day. I will bake some type of bread for the week. I will usually cook up some type of make-ahead breakfast for my kids that we can use that week, whether I'm making a bunch of pancakes or a bunch of waffles. If I didn't do it when I kitchen restocked, I will chop up their veggies, I'll chop up their fruits, because not only does this save me time when I'm making their meals, but it makes it way more likely that I'm gonna put it on their plate, let's be honest. I usually will make up sauces as well, so I might make a salad dressing that I can use on my salads all week, and I really have become a big just like dinner prepper. Last year I bought a subscription to 5 Dinners 1 Hour, which I have talked to you guys about before. Essentially it's a bunch of meals that you can choose from, and all of them have a prep direction and then an assembly direction, and the idea is that you can kind of prep a week's worth of dinners in 1 hour, and then when it's actually dinner time, most of these things can be assembled in like 10 minutes or less. They need to be like poured out onto a sheet pan or thrown into a crock pot or like popped in the oven or whatever. And honestly, the process of using that website has really made me realize how many things I can prep ahead of time. So we eat a lot of soup in our house, so lots of the soups can be chopped, prepped, and put into a container, and so on the day of, it just like needs to go into the pot with some broth or thrown into the crock pot. If we're having like a Greek bowl, right? We love to eat Mediterranean food. I can make homemade hummus ahead of time and make my tzatziki ahead of time. I could cook up the chicken. If I'm doing like shredded chicken, I could cook up the chicken and shred it ahead of time. I can make some pickled cabbage. I can do so much stuff ahead of time, and so again, when I make my meals for the week, I think of all the things that need to happen, that need to get prepped, and then I try to sort of check off as many of those as I can during my allotted meal prep time. But it needs to be a time that is on your schedule or it's not gonna happen. So again, for me, it's Sundays. It's like, how much can I bang out on Sunday? Another thing that I've started finding really easy to do since I've become better about prepping is I found that a lot of these meals that I prep, I can double it, I can put one in the freezer. So now it's not that I'm even necessarily prepping 5 dinners every single week, because 2 weeks ago I prepped a double of something else, and so that meal is already done, right? I just have to pull it out of the freezer the night before. As you get into the routine of doing it, you find that you have so much more that is prepped and that is made. The other day I made my kids little chicken like taco roll-ups. I just made a bunch of extras so I could stick them in the freezer. Okay, so now like 2 hours before dinner, I could pull those out and then I could pop them in the toaster oven and they're ready to go. Dinner is made for them. So very consistently when I'm cooking things, I ask myself, can this be doubled and frozen? Meal prepping with 3 small children running around it's sort of madness. My kids love to help and they are in there and it's messy and it's madness, but it gets done and the rest of the week is so much easier and we're able to eat really pretty good meals, I feel like, and the meals come together really easily for us when it's actually mealtime. All right, my friends, so that does it. Some of the best ways that I have really learned to make my time a lot more efficient in the kitchen, so I no longer feel like mealtime is controlling me. I feel like I'm controlling it, you know what I mean? As always, thank you so much for stopping by and watching. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Remember to be kind to yourself and others, and I will see you all in my next video.